The next one is from my friend Anya Dara. Anya.Dara. She asked, "Kailan ka ikakasal?" That's a question, all right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, the Ali Fusho podcast. And every time I make that introduction, I do cringe quite a bit because it just sounds so narcissistic for me to make a podcast that's self-named as Ali Fusho. And for those of you who do not know, for what happened to me like a few weeks ago, for like a month or two ago, I released this other podcast like under another name, which I don't want to mention right now. But there was this company that did contact me saying that I can't use that name because of copyright issues, etc. So I know I mentioned this in the past, but it just every single time I say that this is called the Ali Fusho podcast, it just gets to me like, oh, that's so narcissistic. But that's in hope that nobody else in the world makes a podcast named Ali Fusho, and I guess the chances of that are very, very low. But anyway, for this episode 5 or 6, this is going to be a Q&A episode. So I don't have a guest with me this week, and I'm not sure how all the other succeeding episodes will be. All those interviews might be done online because, of course, things here in the Philippines when it comes to COVID, when it comes to the coronavirus, things are definitely not looking bright. So just to be really, really safe, even though we did practice, being hygienic and sanitizing everything, just to be really sure, most or maybe if not all the succeeding interviews are definitely going to be online. So again, this is going to be a Q&A episode. And before I do go on with the questions, a few weeks ago, I was listening to Iron Culture. That's the podcast by Eric Helms and by Omar Isov. Two people that I really do respect. If you're definitely into bodybuilding or powerlifting or just general coaching tips and tricks, not really tricks, but general coaching discussions, I would highly, highly recommend their podcast, The Iron Culture. That's a great, great podcast. Anyway, so I was listening to one of the recent episodes. I think this was episode 74, entitled What We Do Differently. And one thing that I really learned, or really like one insight of Eric Helms that I really took to heart, was like whenever he would answer questions, like he would also have Q&As, and he'd be like, okay, he's gonna answer the question, sure, but he's also gonna ask himself, why does this person have this specific question? Like, why does this person think, or why does this person feel the need to ask this question? Like, what do they not get? Because a lot of these questions, they're very specific. A good example that I think he uses, what do I need to eat to lose fat? That's not necessarily a wrong question. For those of you who are familiar with calories already, like that's not necessarily a wrong question. Like, what do you need to lose fat? But why does that person not know how to eat? Like, and that's primarily because they're not really that familiar with calories. So again, I'm mentioning this because that's such a great way to structure things when it comes to enriching or enlightening other people who have these sort of skewed specific questions. And like, in essence, something that I'd want to really achieve is that, how he mentioned, is that when you answer a question, or when a question is, what do you call this, being tackled, you don't just answer it like if it's a black and white question, hopefully you don't give just a black and white answer. You really have to go in depth and explain why this is so, in the hope, again, that's very, what do you call this, optimistic, or that's like being too ambitious, that the moment you answer that question, that person's never going to answer or ask a similar question within the next few weeks or months of their lives. But obviously that's too ambitious, but that's something that you should always strive for. So again, I'm not sure if I'll be able to achieve that as I answer some of these questions, since the questions that I asked people to ask me are very like broad topics. So that can be fitness, nutrition, anime, video games. So there's a lot of different questions that I got in this recent poll, or this recent questions. So, but that's something that I do want you guys to know. Like, that's whenever somebody asks you a question, don't just answer it straight up. Try to make sure that, ask yourself, why does this person have this question? How can I help so that they would never have to ask something similar in the future? Obviously, again, that's too ambitious, but that's still something great that Eric Helms shared, something that we might want to take for ourselves and practice as much as possible. And to carry on with the actual episode Q&A, let's start. The first question is from my dear friend Jesus. I mean, that's his Instagram name. His real name is G. Rodriguez, Gerard Rodriguez. He was actually a previous guest in one of my previous episodes. A great guy. I really enjoy having conversations with him. But he asked, or he mentioned, like, what's the sport that I wanted to excel in the most, but I was definitely hella scared of? So I guess that's a great question. It's what do you call this? Brings me back to the time that I was pretty consistent when it came to Muay Thai and Judo. So generally speaking, the reason why I wanted to do those two sports is because Muay Thai is a great striking sport, judo is a great grappling or throwing sport, like martial arts. So MMA is something that was in my dreams before, especially when I was in the early years of college. I really did want to go to mixed martial arts because it's such a great display. It's such a great showcase of the culmination of years of effort of really learning different disciplines in the martial arts realm. So it's just a great sport. But then you realize that, especially when you have been doing it for years, and if you've seen it on TV, you can't guarantee that the moment you walk out of the ring or the octagon, if you're from the UFC, is that you can't guarantee that you're gonna walk out. You can guarantee that you're gonna walk out because, like, one of my idols before was Anderson Silva, and I think this was against this match with Chris Weidman. So hopefully I'm not getting the names wrong. But anyway, when he broke his shin, I was like, shit, man, I don't think that this sport is for me. And that might, make me come off as weak. But generally speaking, I don't want to jeopardize, what do you call this, my bones, just so that, I know it's in the nature of the sport. You can't really, and no sport is perfectly safe. But I guess there's some safer sports than mixed martial arts. So yeah, it's a great sport. I really wanted to get part of it. I'd like to really immerse myself or really try to pursue it even further. But I guess moving forward, lifting has become the sport that I have fallen in love with. And that's not, and obviously if you've been a lifter, you know that there are some injuries that do come along as well. But that's something that it's a great question. I did want to excel at MMA, but until now I'm still definitely scared about it. The next question, we have two questions from DG Lifts. The first one he asked is how to balance fitness and school. So just to answer it on how I balanced my fitness or my lifting when I was in school is that I really didn't prioritize my schoolwork so much. But that doesn't mean that I was such an irresponsible student. I made sure that I didn't fail. I guess when it came to my studies, when it came to my classes, I never even bothered to try to excel. Like I didn't really I didn't really strive to get what do you call this, perfect score in A, and that might not be a good mindset. That might not be good advice for me to give, but that's how I got about it. I just made sure that I didn't pass. I guess I was a C plus B average student. I was definitely not a failing student, and I guess because I paid attention during class. But there are also some classes wherein I wouldn't pay attention at all because I'd just be writing out programs for me and my friends at that time. Anyway, to answer your question in regards to how to balance your fitness and your school life, your education, that really depends on how much balance you actually want, or what balance actually looks to you. Because a lot of people, when it comes to their studies, they really want to strive for those honors, to strive for like acing every single thing. And obviously, for you to be able to do that, you do have to sacrifice some time so you can dedicate it towards your studying, towards your writing more papers, etc. And you might be taking away time when it comes to you working out, when it comes to you prepping your meals. So that doesn't say that you're gonna be, super lazy, that you're not gonna work out anymore. I'm just saying that in terms of priority, which one would you rather be better at? Would you want to PR? Would you want to progress in your lifts very consistently in like big jumps? Or would you want to maintain your honor roll thing? If you just want to maintain your B pluses or your A's, that's really up to you. Me, I was able to manage both. Like I was good at both. I definitely wasn't great at both, but I was good at both because if you're at school, obviously you are being surrounded by friends, etc. Your academics and the gym aren't the only things in your life. You do have social relationships to maintain, whether that be with your partner, whether that be with your blockmates, with your friends, etc. That's another part. That's another big part of college, which is relating with people. So again, when it comes to balance between fitness and school, that's really up to you and what balance looks like to you. All right, so hopefully that answers your question or helps you when it comes to finding your own balance. Next question that is same from DG Lives. He asked, what are good protein sources here in the Philippines? And that's a good question, but I feel like you didn't have to specify in the Philippines unless there's like a special protein meal here in the Philippines that I'm not really familiar with. But generally speaking, no matter what country you're from, beef, pork, chicken, fish, and all those other like good meat products are definitely great sources of protein. But I guess since you asked the first question, how to balance fitness in school, since you are at school, I'm going to assume that your allowance is not that, it's a school allowance. Like it's a budget. You have the budget of a school kid, so you might not have access to a lot, or you might not be able to buy those more expensive prime rib beefs, etc. So ground beef or ground pork, any ground meat actually is something that I definitely recommend for anyone who's on the budget, especially for school for students. And I guess the same does apply to anyone, even though if you're not a student anymore. Ground meats are definitely on the cheaper side. If you were to go to your supermarkets or yung mga palengke, that's definitely an option that I frequent quite a lot because it's cheaper and because it's so much easier to prepare. If you just get like a kilo of beef, ground beef, put it in your pan or put it in your wok, and then you just cook it and you just put whatever seasoning you like. You don't really have to worry so much on like if you were to buy a steak. I mean, as great steaks are, you do have to time properly. You have to make sure you season it. I don't know. There's a lot more to think of when it comes to those other meals as opposed to ground meat. So that's something I'd recommend. Any ground meats would definitely be a great protein source. And if you're not the type who likes eating so much meat, or if you feel like 1 kilo or like 750 grams of meat is too much for you, I would definitely suggest whey protein. It's a great supplement, and that's something that Grant Teng, a previous guest of mine, says that whey protein is not a supplement because it's basically dairy, and he does have a point. It's basically just a drink that has more protein. So I guess to use that logic, if we were to call whey protein a supplement, I think we can call Milo Plus and Anchor or whatever, like Bear Brand, all those milk products that have some amount of protein. I guess we can call those supplements as well if we were to follow that logic. But anyway, yeah, well, ground meat, whatever beef, pork, chicken that you prefer, cook it however way you want. And whey protein, that's a great way to make sure you're able to gather or accumulate all the protein requirements for the day. Right. Next one would be from Glenn Abukay. He asked if 5K runs or 30 to 60 minutes of daily cardio will slow down muscle growth. So I guess that's the quick answer would be that yes, it will slow down muscle growth. But I guess to go deeper into that question or to answer it, a bit more complicated than black and white answers, is that it really does depend in regards to how much effect or how much interference that daily cardio will have when it comes to your muscle growth, because there's multiple factors going around it. So I guess one factor would be is how long have you been doing these 5K runs? Have you been doing have you just started doing it? Have you just been doing it for the past 6 months? Have you been doing daily 5K runs or like weekly 5K runs for the past year or two, maybe the past 5 years? Then obviously how much acclimated or adapted your body is to those 5K runs, then it might not slow down your muscle growth so much, as opposed somebody who's just brand new to lifting and brand new to cardio. It's gonna be really hard. It's I wouldn't say hard. I'm just gonna say that it's not ideal. If your main goal would be to gain strength or gain muscle, I am not going to say that. I'm not going to say that 5K runs is gonna like screw you over. It's just not ideal. If you wanted to prioritize muscle strength or muscular gain, don't do it. That's pretty much it. If you really wanted to devote all your time and effort to muscle gaining, I don't think cardio is gonna help. But I'm not saying that if you do cardio that is gonna completely eliminate all your progress. No, that's not the thing. It's really more of how much is it going to affect. So again, multiple factors, and I guess a great way to or better way to answer this question is that if you really still want to do your cardio and you still really have those goals of muscle gain and muscular strength, the best way to prevent it slowing down your gains as much as possible is to make sure that all the other pillars in your fitness journey are sound. So example, if you're if you're able to make sure that your sleep and your nutrition and your actual programming are super sound, then I'm pretty sure that that 5K cardio, once you've gotten used to it, isn't gonna affect you so much. I guess that's what I'm basically trying to say. As long as you prioritize all those other major pillars when it comes to lifting or general fitness, that 5K cardio shouldn't slow down your muscle gain or your hypertrophy. Hopefully that helps you with your question. The next one is going to be from Chuck Oy. He asks, or what is a good a good fat and bad fat source? Okay, before I answer this question, I do have to say that I am primarily certified as a strength coach. So I guess my specialty does reside in helping people get stronger in what do you call this, correcting their form. I really, especially in form correction, I feel like that's really where I specialize. I'm able to understand biomechanics quite well. But again, that's me. I'm more in the lifting side of the fitness industry, the fitness realm. When it comes to nutrition, my knowledge is very bare. It does cover all the basics, and I think that's where I'm comfortable with. I am not a registered dietitian. I'm not a registered nutritionist. So don't if it's for nutritional advice, I can only help you with the basic stuff. I can't really answer stuff in depth. I'm gonna be very honest and say that instead of pretending that I know everything when it comes to nutrition. So when it comes to finding good or bad fat source, generally speaking, from my knowledge of just understanding basic needs of calories, and I know there's such a thing as, saturated fat, unsaturated fat, which is something that I did study to get my certification, but it's something that I did forget. How I would answer this question for you is just to make sure that you're not eating too much of it. That's exceeding your fat needs or your caloric needs of the day. Because there are a lot of people, the keto guys, they consume like tremendous or an abundance amount of fat, and to some of them, they are able to lose weight. So again, for me to answer this question, like what's a good and bad fat source, I guess anything actually. Again, so don't believe me so much when it comes to, or don't trust in me whenever I answer nutrition stuff so much. I'm being very honest when I say that. But as long as you're able to, I'm guessing you're asking this just because you want to make sure that you don't gain excessive weight. And I guess the best way so that you don't gain a surplus of weight is to make sure that your calories are in check. If you love eating fat, I guess just go with beef. Beef and nuts. Again, that's just how I'm going to respond to this question. Sorry if it doesn't really help you that much. The next one is from my friend Anya Dara. She asked, "Kailan ka ikakasal?" That's a question, all right. So for those who don't understand Filipino, that means when am I getting married? But just to share, I'm not gonna answer that because obviously that's, if I do answer that, that's gonna, especially my family's gonna negatively react. Because just to share with you, like last year, my girlfriend and I, we played the prank to our family and to our friends that when we were back in Tokyo, is that we pranked everyone saying that we got engaged. Like we pretended, like, we just used Instagram stories. I think that's gonna be the life moving forward. We pretended that she was wearing a ring. Like she was wearing a ring, but it wasn't a wedding ring. It's just a ring that we got from one boutique store. And then like, hey, let's buy one because it's cheap. Let's prank everyone. And then my mom got so mad, dude. I swear, it's so funny. I mean, when I got back home, so we took the flight back here to Manila. I swear, when I got back home, she was mad at me so much, but I was just laughing the entire time. I know that's not a good son move. I swear, I'm pretty sure that she's still pissed about that, but that's just a great story. So yeah, I'm not gonna answer that question, Anya. Sorry, but I just wanted to share that. Next question is gonna be from Shaza Marau. I'm super sorry if I'm pronouncing all these names badly. Anyway, he asked for ecchi manga or anime. So I don't read manga just because I don't read, because it's just, I'm not a big reader. Well, I love reading like fitness journals, nutritional lifting journals. That's what I love reading. But everything else, I'd rather just watch something. So I am a big fan of anime. And I don't really watch that much ecchi anime, or maybe I'm just saying that because probably my girlfriend's watching this. But I guess ecchi lewd anime that I really, really love, or like enjoyed. I wouldn't say really love. Fine. Jeez. Those type of anime that I really love would definitely be Food Wars. That's the only thing that's coming to my head right now. Shokugeki. Food Wars is a great anime. It's about cooking, but then almost every scene, whenever somebody eats something super oishi or something super delicious, they comically strip. So, and it sounds so stupid, but I swear, whenever they eat or whenever they take a bite of something delicious, for some reason, the universe strips them of their clothes because of how much they're enjoying. So that's a great anime that I really love. In terms of others, I guess there's nothing else that I watch that's kind of ecchi, unless I just don't want. I'm just withholding information so that my girlfriend doesn't murder me later. But I guess that's the only thing. Food Wars. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. This is from Chris D Mabuyu. That's his Instagram name. I think this is a home gym question. More 45 ollie plates or mixed 35 and 45 pound plates. He already has 270 pounds of ollie plates already. Okay, I would definitely suggest just get more 45 pound plates. That's something that's gonna help you a lot more, especially once you're getting stronger. All right, so okay. The weight stack or the weight set that I would recommend to a lot of people, if you're in pounds, would get as many 45s as you can or as strong as you are. Get a pair of 25s, pair of 10s, 2 pairs of 5s, and 1 pair of 2.5 pounds. I swear, you don't need to get the 35 pounds. I mean, weight is weight. 35 pounds is 35 pounds. But you are in terms of saving more money, I would rather that you just get the 2 pairs of 5 pounds, just so that you can make sure that you have every increment of 5 pounds moving forward. As long as you have, again, I'll repeat, 1 pair of 2.5s, 2 pairs of 5 pounds, 1 pair of 10s, 1 pair of 25s, and as many pairs as you need of 45s. I swear, if you get all of that from the bar, which is 45 pounds, all the way up to whatever weight that you need, you should have the 5 pound increment. So from 45, 50, 55 to all the way to 500 or 600, but however strong you are, that's gonna help you a lot. So hopefully that answers your question. But then since you are using ollie plates, hopefully it's not too thick to the point that, example, you just put four plates of 45s to the side that it's already going to be maxed out already. Hopefully your ollie plates aren't too thick. The next question would be from my cousin. He asks, who would win in a Pokemon fight, me or you? Show proof if you say that you win. So recently he got me into playing Pokemon Shield again. He beat me twice. I'll be honest about it, he beat me. But so yeah, I'm gonna answer that. You did beat me. But if we were the Pokemon, like if you were the Pokemon and I were the Pokemon, I think I don't need proof. I think I can win against you. I have no proof, but I think I'm just gonna answer it that way. Hopefully that helps, Burs. Next question is from Iya Konsenko. Thoughts on the way that All Might trained Izuku Midoriya. Okay, to those of you who aren't familiar with this anime or that question, that is from Boku no Hero, My Hero Academia, one of the best anime that I've watched so far, and I'm pretty sure I sound like a weeb as I say that, and I'm pretty sure like most of you guys who are lifters are definitely weebs or big anime fans as well naman. So thoughts on the way that All Might trained Izuku Midoriya. I actually, of course, there's sometimes that, it's crazy anime levels, like he made him clean out an entire beach, but then I remember this one line that he said, like one of the early episodes in that training montage, that Deku or Izuku wanted to train a bit more, but then All Might said, no, you should prioritize on your recovery. I'm like, whoa! I think this is the first anime that's ever talked about making sure that your recovery is on point. Because of course, if you in the real life, of course, anime and real life are unfortunately apart from one another. But in the real life, you can't just go all out. You can't do like 20 or 40 sets of the same muscle group every single day and expect for you to get a lot of progress. No, you do need to have a significant amount of rest or recovery in between so that you're able to progress moving forward. And again, as I mentioned, it's the first anime I've ever seen that one of the main characters did say that, hey, you should kind of slow it down. Don't push yourself so much. I mean, whenever it's time to push yourself, but make sure that in between you are resting quite enough. So that's a great way. In terms of cleaning up the beach, that's a very, what do you call this, Mr. Miyagi style of training, but hey, it works. I mean, he was able to become who he is today. Next question is from Mr. I'm super sorry, my eyesight's pretty bad. Mr. LJ Geronimo. There we go. Coach, is 8 grams of protein per body pound a safe zone for someone whose goal is hypertrophy or strength? That's a lot, dude. Like, okay, I'm gonna be honest. That's a shit ton of protein. So, 8 grams of protein per body weight pound. So let's say if you are a 200-pound male, or like actually, if you're a 200-pound person, if you're going to follow that route, that means you have to eat 1,600 grams of protein a day. That's a lot, dude. I think, shoot, like with an estimate of my now poor math skills, if you eat 1,600 grams of protein, it's probably like what? How many kilos of? Jeez, 300. I think that's like 5 or 6 kilos of meat, dude. And you're gonna eat that every single day? Yo, that's crazy. What is going to be the safe zone that most people have been promoting would be 1 pound. Oh, sorry, 1 gram per pound of body weight. So 1 gram protein per 1 pound body weight that you have. So if you're a 200-pound person, you would definitely need 200 grams of protein per day, not 8 grams, dude. I think that's not safe. I mean, from the research that I've done when it comes to how much protein that you should be consuming, the most that I've read that somebody in a study that's been done would be 4 grams. So, example, if you are a 200-pound person, you would need 800 grams of protein. In terms of general health, there was nothing. Again, this is from what I read years ago, so maybe there's more updated research. But anyway, from what I've read, the only negative thing that was seen in the group that ate 4 grams of protein per body weight is the fact that their jaws started to hurt because of how much chewing that they'd have to do. And I'm not joking. That's what the paper reported, that the only negative effect was that their were a lot more sore. Their teeth was a lot sore because of how much chewing they were doing. That's literally it. In terms of, you might be wondering, okay, but they ate that much protein, they probably gained that much more muscle. Like, no, there was no observable, or there was no significant difference between muscle gain between the 1 gram or the 1.5 gram per protein versus the 4 grams of protein per body weight. So don't go for the 8 grams of protein, dude. Just go for the 1 to 1.5 gram. You should be perfectly fine if your goal is hypertrophy and strength. Next one would be, what do you call this? From Aina Gonzalez. I request a couple workout with Cassie. I've tried so many times. We've been together for close to 5 years by now. We've worked out a couple of times, but I'm hopefully she doesn't kill me as I say this, but most of the workouts that we have together, especially in the very beginning, most of the workouts that we have together always end up with, a slight fight. I'm gonna say slight. It's not like we weren't shouting. It's just that, and that's not just us. This is true for almost every couple out there. If one of them is a coach, or actually if both of them are coaches, there are bound to be disputes between them, because of course, when a coach coaches their clients, the clients respond because of course they do look up to the coach, they do respect the coach and whatever he or she says. Okay, we're gonna do this today. All right, coach, let's do what you say. When it comes to a boyfriend coaching your girlfriend, the girlfriend doesn't look at you as a coach. The girlfriend looks at you as the boyfriend that she can, tell off. And I'm not saying that we have a toxic relationship. I love her to death. Do I? But anyway, that's the thing. And this is true. I've met a lot of other coaches out there who tried coaching their girlfriends or their wives. For the most part, it doesn't really end that well. So sorry, Aina, I don't think that couple workout is gonna happen anytime soon. And the last question we have is from Mario Magalon. He asks, what is the buffest and most ripped animal? I think actually there are a lot of them. I think it's that one, but I think the one that stands out the most is that one intense cow. Like, let's good thing we have the power of Google. I'm going to search it. Buff cow. Yep. And it's the name of the cow is the Belgian blue cattle. I'm pretty sure like if you're watching this on YouTube and not on Spotify, I'm gonna put a picture of that cow. That's crazy. A Belgian blue cattle. That's really stupid. I guess that's the only way. I mean, I don't know why you asked that question, Mary, but thank you for bringing these pictures of these beautiful buff cows into my life. once again. But yeah, that's gonna end this episode. That's I really enjoy Q&As because I don't really have to prepare so much. I mean, I'm not saying that I go in empty-handed. I do read the questions, but it's a more natural flow. I don't really have to like make a crazy script or whatever. But anyway, the one thing that I really wanted to end with is something that I started with, is that whenever, what did I start with? Eric Helms. Sorry, I was kind of lost for a bit. So when it comes to answering questions, so even though if you're not a coach, if you're just somebody who gets a question, you really have to ask yourself, why does this person have this question and how can I help? I swear, when he said that, that really opened my eyes a bit more. Like, you just have to realize a lot of people are curious, and then if you just, okay, here, let's be biblical. That story when Jesus was like talking to this fisherman, like, if you just, and I hope that I don't screw up the saying, like, if you give a man a fish, he won't be hungry for a day. Yeah, I already screwed it up. But if you teach a man to fish, he won't be hungry for the rest of his life. So that's something that I do want people to kind of move on with, or take as an insight, a great insight from Eric Helms, and apply it to their lives as well, so that you don't get annoyed when somebody asks a question. Because there was a time in my life, or like in my short social media life, that I would get questions, very, very repetitive questions, and I wonder, like, why the hell is this person, like, why are so many people asking me the same question, like the very, very simple question that can be answered by just having that basic knowledge. But then again, not everyone has that basic knowledge, and whenever we answer them, we just have to do our best to make sure that they don't have that confusion anymore. And of course, that's just an ambitious point of view, but that's something that we should definitely strive for. So yeah, I do not know how to smoothly end this episode normally, because when I have somebody on the show, I take the burden off myself and I tell them to say bye to the camera. But I guess now I'll be the one saying bye to the camera, which is gonna be super awkward. But anyway, see you guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please do consider subscribing to the channel, following me on Spotify if that's something that you can actually do. Not that familiar. And then like the video as well. See you.